Well, that's a funny story because I didn't really come to Flex. I was done competing. I came out to work with Keith. When I saw Keith at the USA's and I saw that he had the potential to win that show, and we started communicating and talking again about his training, and then we got together with Flex. I was down there to help Keith, and Flex and I were going to team up and work with Keith. So we went through a workout is what we did. We went to Gold's Venice here, and he took us through a workout. It was brutal. We were crawling on the ground, wheezing. It was volumizing. It was lots more sets, lots more reps than we've ever been used to. Descending sets, the pain threshold, the rest periods were shortened. And he really took us through some difficult training, and I think mostly just to see if we would just fall out or if we could hang. And then when we sat down at the Ironman together, we're talking about Keith's competing for the USA, and I was interested in being a part of that. And Flex looked at me and he says, "So are you going to do the Masters Nationals?" And I hadn't even thought about it. I wasn't going to do the Masters Nationals, but Flex has a way of communicating his message to you, and after repeatedly kicking me under the table and bugging me about it, we decided that I would jump in and Keith and I would train together with our separate goals in mind, but benefit from the camaraderie and the competitive nature of it, and that's how that started. And to be honest with you, at the time, having competed at 223 the previous year, I didn't think that I could do a super heavyweight national stage. Even though I was plenty big in the off season, I didn't know I could hold that mass. And so if you look at my powerlifting videos, on YouTube, I've got my videos there. You'll see I'm in good shape at 275, and I just had a hard time when I started dieting. I was cutting calories, I was doing cardio, I was increasing reps, I was decreasing weight, and the body would just start to whittle away. And we completely changed that this year with Flex, and I was able to hold on to all, if not most or all of my mass, if not gain some while I lost body fat. So that's how that started. It was more Flex pushing the issue and me jumping on board and deciding that we could make this happen.
Flex is Flex has a great sense of humor. He sent me a picture saying thinking of you with a pizza, and he's standing in front of it. Just yesterday, I think it was. We had to train with him at 7 a.m. and we get a protein drink in, then we got to take him half an hour to the airport, and he's like, "I'm real hungry, guys. Can you guys stop by McDonald's?" Stan's like, "Okay, stop by McDonald's," and he gets what was it? A sausage egg McMuffin, and it was just smelling so good. My stomach started hurting, and Stan sniffing, and then he says, "Could you get me some jelly and some ketchup to go with that?" And that's just Flex though. But and we got to go home and look forward to our steak and rice.
We've our diets, our calories have increased considerably. I'm probably eating twice as much this year as I ate dieting last year. But we have to do, it's the frequency, it's the constitution of the foods, and the discipline of always, staying on the program. And that's what's been so effective for us. We train so much harder, but we also replenish ourselves with so much more. So I think it feels like we're able to do in 1 week what most people might take 2 or 3 weeks to do, in terms of the benefits that we get from the workouts, the recovery ability that we have. So that's really what's driven us to be so much better than we were last year.
My sports background is I ran track in high school, played football in high school, went to Taft Junior College because grades weren't quite there to go, and played football there and ran track there, and then moved out, due to some situations, moved out to Oregon, and that's where I met Stan. In 1996, I was All-American in 60 meters, 100-meter dash, and 200-meter dash, and so I wanted to go onto the national scene. So I went out to Atlanta, Georgia, in 1996 to the Indoor USA Track and Field Championships. And in my first heat in my races, it's 9-time gold medalist Carl Lewis is in lane 5, and I'm in lane 3, and and at the time I was the #1 sprinter in the country, and he has put his tie up his shoes like I did, and I beat him, and 2 rounds later I became USA and world champion, running 60 meters at 6.56. that year, later on that year, I was I was given a special invitation to by the United States Olympic Committee to train in Chula Vista, California, to get ready for the Olympic trials in '96, which there with injuries became alternate on our Olympic team in the 4x100. He ran a couple rounds in the Olympics and had to still medal, but had to sit out because of due to injury. After that, I was signed by the Denver Broncos in 1996 with the numbers I put up and the talent that I had, and signed with them, played with them for a year, and then was traded to the Green Bay Packers, played with them for a year, and then...
we need the combine numbers on those 40s.
When I ran for the Denver Broncos, I ran a 4. People don't believe it, and I tell them to go to the Denver Post. I ran a 4:16.40, which, if you don't know what that is, that's one of the fastest times on the earth. They had said I was considered the second fastest person behind Deion Sanders, and I never knew Deion Sanders running that fast, so I actually went the race against him to see if he was actually that fast. But I ran a 4:16.40, a vertical 42 and a half inches, a bench press 225, 21 times, and I was only about 198 pounds. So Denver signed me right away. Before I ever got to my hotel room, my agent's like, "You want to play with the Denver Broncos?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, I signed with the Broncos, played with them for a while, running back. Due to the superstar they had at the time, Terrell Davis, it wasn't getting much playing time, so I wasn't very happy. So I wanted to go to someplace else where I was going to get some playing time. So Green Bay picked me up, scooped me up out of NFL Europe, and signed me as a defensive back. Play under Ray Rhodes' tutelage for a while, which was fun. Then step down from there and went and played arena ball in New York for a couple years, and had some great success there, and started getting banged up and injured a lot. And so, I pretty much, at that point in time, I was about to have a son, and I wanted to be around for my son. So I stepped down away from, professional football, and, I was like, what am I going to do with my time now? So I started, I met a guy named Eric Munson back in Minnesota, and he trained me for my first show, which was the Minnesota Ironman, and I placed second at heavyweights, and then took a couple years off, and didn't really know if bodybuilding was my thing, and then got back into it again. Some of my friends talked me into getting back into it again, and did it, had some success, won the Gopher state, and then placed third at the super heavyweights. Oh God, I don't even know what year that was. 2006, I think, and I've been placing in the top 5 for the last 4 years at junior nationals, and had some placing in the top 10 at USA's for the last couple years, and now it's time for me to
fourth in the North American.
Fourth in the North American, won Flex's show, won the Mr. Minnesota, won the Mr. Midwest. And, but I'm not one of those people who believe in competing at the local level forever. I want to go into the national scene and see what I can do with the big boys, and and whether it's a storm so far. And so I'm excited to get on stage this year at USA's and show everybody what me and Flex and Stan have done to change my body and my physique and my posing and everything else.
Mostly, historically at 6 foot, I was always too lean. The time I'd get on stage, I've always been shredded. But I was too lean, and this year, I'm close to 270 pounds in the condition that you'll see here from the video. I think I was 267 when I weighed in today on the pictures that you'll see here throughout this interview. And so this year, I'm not at a loss for mass. I can show a lot more thickness. And whatever areas I think I need to bring up is probably only because some other areas are so strong this year. So he has made a huge difference in terms of focusing on keeping bulk on my body at my height.
I want to say thanks to Flex, and especially to MD, for giving us the attention that and the time that we needed to get ready for this show, especially to Flex, because he's been a big brother to me and a father and everything else, and the pain in my butt at the exact same time. But the one thing about Flex is he's a hell of a coach, and he's got my mind to where when I want to quit and when I get frustrated, just to understand that the funny thing about Flex is he says I remind him so much of him. I don't talk during workouts. I mutter underneath my breath a lot. I complain a lot. But at the end of the day, I stand over here laughing. At the end of the day, you know, the job gets done, and I want to thank him for that. And I just want to thank again MD for letting him take the time with us this year, preparing me for USA championships. And I promise you, people out there, that I will not disappoint you at all.
I have to give a lot of thanks to Flex for giving us the confidence, and then of course pushing us as hard as he did. But you know, Flex is an IFBB Hall of Famer. He's one of the best bodybuilders of all time. But I think that that's only you know, one chapter in his book and his story, because he's just a phenomenal trainer, and he took a personal interest in us, and you see it in him. He hurts when we hurt, and he wants us to win. And he's personally involved in that, and we feel his support, so we give 110%, and he appreciates it, and we appreciate him. So thanks to Flex, and for the MD and MD fans out there, for all the support that we've gotten from you folks with all of our threads and videos out there. Take a look and keep giving us feedback, and we'll keep working hard.